starts down his little path.
I had to do it quick before you did it.
Anyway, so you feel beaten up over it.
Yeah, just the topic itself. I realize it's a topic that needs to be addressed. My big concern is I'm worried that it's not being addressed correctly because it doesn't seem to be getting a resolution to it. And as somebody who I honestly feel like I actively go out there and try to find diversity when it comes to doing presentations, but not to the extreme. That's what you need to be to do a presentation for a user group. I don't know. I just if it is, and I think Peter and Mike were doing a lot to put the conference on, and kind of got a little blindsided by some of this concerns about the diversity of their speaker lineup, and it's like, man, I don't think these guys actively went out and tried to exclude diversity from their lineup. I think these guys were working hard to put together a conference, and those are the people that stepped up with presentations. Those are the ones that had the talks that seemed interesting. And I don't know. I mean, I don't need to sound. I don't want to take the spotlight off of it or anything. I'm concerned that we're approaching the problem wrong. That we're not addressing it correctly. And today it's diversity around the sex of of males to female, and then in a couple months it'll be diversity around the race, and a couple months later it's just like we're addressing the problem on a fragmented approach, and I still don't even think we're doing that correctly.
I don't necessarily think it's a fragmented approach. It's a difficult topic, and I can see from his point of view, he had 10 slots to fill. But when you get to a bigger conference where there's a lot more slots, there needs to be a more diverse set of speakers. I agree. In running the user group, it's hard. We constantly are trying to find other people to give talks. The fact is, in tech, at least that people that come to our user group, it's prominently white male. And every time we have any of the races or women come there, constantly trying to get them to stay with us. And it's probably hard, from their point of view coming in and almost feeling singled out. But we need to do a better job.
Yeah, I mean, again, from my perspective, and I'm not trying to say that maybe we shouldn't take more of a conscious effort at it. I feel like we do, and I know we do for Lair Chat Live. It is very much a conscious effort that we make to try to bring diversity to the panel, and we fail every week at doing it.
You've got Canadians on there.
And it's honestly not from a lack of trying from all the guys in the group. We reach out, we beg, we plead, and really get almost no feedback. We feel like we've been successful on, but in general, it's been tough. John, I mean, just as well as I do for our user group, I think there's a problem with diversity when you work to exclude a crowd. And I don't think we do that. We never try to exclude anybody. And we still have the issue of not being diverse. Mm-hmm. So I sort of agree with what you're saying. We need to do a better job, but it's like
you can only do so much.
We go to Geek Girls. We go to we go to the events. We try to get involved, but there's only so much we can do. It's at some point there has to be a crowd willing to they have to be there. There's all this complaining that there's not diversity, but there's not a diverse crowd that wants to participate, or they're hard to find if they're there.
I don't know what sparked the conversation with Peter on Twitter, I don't know if there was, you know, a more diverse crowd of people that submitted to the calls for paper and were rejected, and that's what sparked it. So I don't know if it was just people seeing the lineup and complaining that there wasn't more diversity, or people that submitted saying, hey, why aren't you accepting other talks? Why is it all white male talks that you accepted?
So there's a lot of vocal people who've never had to do the work involved with getting something like this together. So I don't know. It's an issue in our community, but it's an issue with things like Uber having institutionalized sexism. When it's three white guys who share an interest and they're trying as hard as they can to be as diverse as possible, it's stupid to yell at them for not being diverse enough. You know, you're fighting the wrong crowd.
I see what you're saying.
But people like,
Yeah.
yelling.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not saying there isn't an issue that needs to be addressed. I'm concerned about the way we're addressing it and whether or not what results are we really looking to get out of this. I mean, are we talking about? I mean, are we talking about quotas? Right? I mean, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear you're accepted to a talk because you're trying to meet a quota. That's not what we're looking to do. We're looking for everybody to be on an even playing ground, and I agree with that. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I've heard the complaints, and I think Thomas is right. I think there might be people out there complaining who a lot of situations where people are to point out wants to work towards the problem, and I think we have some of that, but I don't know. I'm getting a little. I don't know. I'm a little just unhappy with the results. I mean, it's the results that are bothering me. It's the fact that as a white male, I'm constantly feeling like, I'm part of the problem. Like, I'm always being pointed at as part of the problem when I feel like, I don't actually think much about it. And when in retrospect, when I look
part
back,
of the problem.
retrospect, when I go back and look back at things that I do, people I interact with, people we have in our company, well, fortunately, I don't think we're suffering too much from that issue. Again, that's not a conscious effort. That's not something I'm trying to do. It's just I'm kind of fortunate because I surround myself with like-minded people who think the same way, and we don't worry about that stuff. And I get that not everybody's like that, but I don't know. I don't know. I want to help fix the problem. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do at this point. It's tough. It's again, as somebody who constantly feels like they're being blamed for the problem, and at the same being one of the problem, you kind of get worn out. You beat yourself up a lot, and I don't know.
Yeah, we're not going to solve it here. It's just it was an interesting topic that was brought up, and didn't really mean to spend that much time on it.
Yeah, no, but
to make it so serious.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about it. It's important, and I know I keep hitting my mic, Thomas. I apologize. I know. I could definitely what I just said can be construed as negative, and people could easily for it, and I get that, and that's really a lot. We have this very black and white world. You can't disagree with a movement. You can't not 100% agree with. You can't not 100% agree with. Like, if you don't 100% agree with what somebody's doing, then you're completely against them, and that's not the case here. Yeah, I should probably stop talking about it.
I've got a pop quiz for you guys.
long couple of weeks, man. I mean, I'm just like emotionally spent, so I don't. What's your topic, Thomas?
You know what the number 31 most popular website in the United States is?
phpugly.com.
No. The number 31?
What are you talking about?
Chase.com.
Okay, Chase.com.
So if you listened to last week's podcast, you've heard that there was a bit of a kerfuffle over Chase insisting that security chips in cards cannot be compromised or circumvented in any way. Gave him a follow-up call, see how things were going. Their response was, "What things? We finished. We closed it. You don't get the money, and there's no investigation." So, well, that's strange, because last time I called, you guys said you were opening a new investigation because I provided evidence that it wasn't me. Nope, nothing. There's no case. I said, well, that's interesting. Can I speak with your manager? No, sir. I can explain anything you need explained. So, shot down on trying to escalate my issue. Took me 4 times asking him to get it escalated before I finally said, you told me earlier this call is being recorded. Is that correct? And he says, yes. I said, may I speak with your supervisor? He says, sure, here you go. So supervisor comes on, tells me, yeah, it's a chip and pin transaction. Cannot possibly be circumvented in any way whatsoever. I said, that's funny. I have a photograph of a stranger walking out of Target with my money in his hands. How do you explain that one? I said, well, you must have given him the card and given him the PIN number because our system is infallible. I said, that's funny because the testimony of the Target employee who runs security told me how he did it. Well, we don't know about that, sir. So I'm not the only person this is happening to. Chase isn't the only bank doing it, but boy, they are running the game hard. They are denying anything that uses chip and pin if you still have possession of the card. And they are unrelenting in their refusal to make any charges reversed. It's nightmarish right now.
Wow.
So if anyone out there listens and knows anything about class action lawsuits, you might be able to make yourself a good chunk of change. But
I'm sorry, dude.
yeah, it's rough, man.
What was the amount or something?
This is $450 something bucks.
Yeah, so it's not even like worth going to get a lawyer to help with it.
No, but I do have a police report now. I did force them to open the investigation back up again and escalate it up to the next person. And then I'm actually going to be going into a local branch of the bank to speak with the manager and explain the situation to him. So I'll get the money back. Yeah, but
I mean,
gotta try.
Are your plans to get the money back from that local branch, Thomas? Do we need alert any authorities or anything?
No. I just
handwritten note. Give me $450 or else.
Please. Yeah. So Chase managing to screw its customers as hard as possible on the policy that SIM cards are infallible. That is terrifying.
Do you still use your Chase card, or have you cut that thing up?
I do have a new Chase card that I have to use. Yeah, I have to use it. I don't have any other option except cash. But then still have to go to the ATM for that one.
Sounds like that's the way we're going. I'm sorry, man.
Was it a debit card that was compromised or a credit card?
It's debit. Which is the real problem.
Do you use your debit card on a normal basis?
Yeah, I do.
Because not to be personal, is it you don't have a credit card to use?
No.
Okay.
No, I worked as a 1099 when I was 20 years old, and so now no one will let me have a credit card.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get so annoyed when I mean, obviously in a situation like that when you have no choice, you have to, but people that have credit cards and still use their debit card, I just can't for the life of me understand why you would do that.
It is asking for pain.
Yeah.
All right, so I got a couple questions for you guys. I tell you, like I said, it's been a rough couple weeks for me. So mentally, I'm like not in the greatest of frames of mind. So bear with me. But I know you guys don't listen to a lot of other podcasts, but something funny has happened in the Laravel community, or I don't really consider us a Laravel podcast. We talk a lot about Laravel. We use Laravel a lot. We're all pretty big fans of Laravel, but I don't really categorize us as a Laravel podcast. But it's funny. Was the podcast I'd go to and listen to, and I like those guys that are on Laravel News. Laravel News is a podcast I'll go to and listen to for like all the detailed information on Laravel. And then, of course, there's the Laravel podcast, which is put on by Taylor, Jeffrey Way, and Matt Stauffer. That talks about what's coming up in Laravel and what's kind of higher level Laravel stuff. And it's funny, it's like the last couple of podcasts from those two. Well, the Laravel podcast hasn't come out in a while. They just came out with another release, which I want to touch on as well. But they started doing like this grab bag question thing because that Laravel News is doing a good enough job covering the news in Laravel that they didn't really have anything to talk about. So they were kind of like doing this question answer thing. And then over on Laravel News, they're not talking about Laravel News anymore either. They're doing interviews with presenters getting ready for Laracon US. So like, none of the Laravel News podcasts are talking about Laravel News anymore. So I thought that was weird.
It has slowed down a little in the Laravel community, though.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I really like the Laravel News because since Jacob and taking it over, they really had done really deep dives into Laravel. And like, you know, as new features came out, they really broke down the feature, talked about how it's done and what, you know, how they implement it. And I mean, it's been really a fantastic podcast, but yeah, they're gearing away from that a little bit. So, and I get it. They're trying to do some, I guess, PR for Laracon US, but over on the Laravel podcast, you know, there's definitely becoming that elite mentality of certain people within the Laravel community. I'm not gonna name any names. It's hard to listen conversations between them. And one of the topics that came up in the Laravel podcast is about, you know, enterprise ready, about software being enterprise. And you know, the reason it was brought up is because you know, Laravel is always under scrutiny whether or not it's good for the enterprise, if it's enterprise ready. And as somebody who's worked in the enterprise, this seems like a very valid question. But I'm always kind of thrown back, and I see it in open source occasionally, but I see a lot with Laravel. They're insulted by that question. It's like, what do you mean, is it ready? Can you not do web pages with it? Yeah, that's not what is it ready. And I'm just kind of curious, do you guys have a perspective on this? Like, what does enterprise ready mean to you guys? And or do you think that word is overused?
It's definitely overused.
Yeah, it's massively overused, and underused.
See, I don't think it is. I think it's used incorrectly, probably by some people, and I think there's a misunderstanding about what it means. But go ahead. I'll let you guys continue, Thomas. You were going a little bit more. Go ahead.
Yeah, my issue with enterprise is people talking about the Laravel software being enterprise ready. It is undoubtedly enterprise ready because it works and doesn't have any fundamental core flaws, and it renders what you ask it to render. In the same way that Windows is enterprise ready, but that's not what enterprise means to Microsoft. Enterprise means support, patch levels, communication. It doesn't have anything to do with the software. It has to do with the service being provided.
I think you just nailed it right there. That's exactly what I was going to say. Everybody assumes enterprise ready means the software, and it does to a degree. It does mean that the software is meeting a certain performance expectation, and it does have that. But that's not all enterprise ready means. Enterprise ready, goes way beyond that. And Thomas, you just nailed it. It's a matter of support levels, SLAs. The long-term support was a good step from Laravel as far as becoming enterprise ready, because that's what enterprise looks for. Are these solutions that they implement that they know the people behind that solution are going to be there, are going to continue to patch it and continue to move that software forward. So that long-term support was another piece of that puzzle of the enterprise. But Laravel as a whole, as somebody who's worked in the enterprise, it's not. I could tell you right now, if I tried to implement Laravel in the enterprise that I came from, it would be a battle. The battle with Laravel comes from SLAs, support, all that stuff. All that stuff you just touched on, Thomas. That's what enterprise ready means. It's not necessarily, hey, can I do 1 million page hits on a website built with Laravel? That's
yeah, sure you can.
One aspect, right? That's only one aspect of it. When somebody says it's something ready for the enterprise, or if it's enterprise ready, there's so many more aspects of it. And I always categorized it as implementing it wants a throat to choke. They want to be able to go to a company for breaks and says, this has to be fixed. I need a way to get this fixed now. And that solution can't be, well, go find yourself a developer who can fix it. They want to have a company to go to. That's why Zen is an enterprise-ready implementation of PHP, because it's an established company with SLAs, with roadmaps, with all sorts of bells and whistles on it that enterprises look for. So I don't understand why there's all this, people are so insulted, oh, how dare you say Laravel isn't enterprise ready? I'm like, it's not.
Yeah, it isn't even remotely. It's not Semver.
You just contradicted. You make it very difficult when you contradict yourself and then you agree with me, Thomas. I really.
No, I'm not contradicting. I don't believe Laravel is enterprise ready. I believe the software is enterprise ready, but I don't believe Laravel the project is enterprise ready. Because if Taylor gets hit by a car, everyone's pretty screwed.
Right, and that's the thing. Is the project can always. There's no control over the direction of the project. It's whatever Taylor wants to do, as long as Taylor decides to. If Taylor gets bored with it and decides, oh, you know what, I'm giving the project to Jeffrey Way or Mohammed to take over because I don't feel like doing it anymore. Do you think, a Fortune 500 company wants to hear that? No, personally, we don't know what they're going to do with the platform. So I wish people would understand that. An insult. It's just there's certain pieces of the puzzle on a whole that are missing, and it doesn't mean that enterprises won't implement it. It means that people like me, who enjoy using Laravel, to implement it on an enterprise platform, we have to battle for that. It's not they always say that saying nobody ever got fired for buying IBM, and fired for implementing poor open source solutions that don't have companies backing it. So
Yeah,
it's a
if you-
struggle.
if you go to Zen's homepage, they have services and support, drop downs, resources, enterprise, packages. There, if you do a search for enterprise on Laravel's
They probably
website,
have
there's nothing.
right, and they probably have things like professional services. That's another thing. They want to be able to go to Zen. They want to be able to go to Laravel and say, Laravel, send me your developers. Not Laravel, send me developers you would recommend out in the community who you don't actually pay, who you don't actually work for, who aren't actually accountable to you. No, they want professional services from that company.
Yeah. When you call Microsoft for support, do you
So
expect
everybody,
totally lost him?
go ahead, Thomas. You lost me?
Yeah, you
There we
froze
go.
for that for a second.
No, when you call Microsoft for support, you expect a Microsoft support person to show up and do the work, or Sun, or those companies that invented enterprise scaling define it very clearly as a support level, not a software level.
And I'm sure Taylor wants to get there. It's just going to take time.
I don't think they understand it. I mean, listening to them talk on their last podcast, they don't understand it. They're thinking very much of the software. I think that's the majority of their concern, and I think I don't think it's necessarily. I could be wrong. I don't know what feedback they're getting. Maybe that's the feedback they're getting. Maybe they have people coming to them and saying, "We don't think your software is strong enough." But again, as somebody who's worked in the enterprise, that wouldn't be my concern at this point with Laravel. Hey guys, real quick, I'm going to turn off my video just to help with performance here.
Yeah, that didn't
Alright.
work last time, but okay.
Okay. All right. I'm done ranting. I like I said, I mentally spent anyway, so I'm probably not the best person to be talking to. I know we're about 30 minutes into this, so we're gonna get a bunch of angry tweets over the next week. Probably not. Nobody listens to this shit. So
Hundreds, I tell you, hundreds.
all right. Hey, I'll let somebody else take it over.
Let's hit the Trello board, John.
What about John?
That first one's all yours.
I moved that down on purpose, and you just moved it back to the top. All right. Yeah, I was going to talk about this last week. I came across this PHP tutorial website called the New Boston, and I heard somebody else talking about it, and they've got all sorts of tutorials on topics from PHP to I guess it used to be strong in just programming in general, and then they moved into just lots of other tutorials, looking at their main menu, beauty, business, cooking. But I'm looking at the PHP list, and they have a video called the final PHP video, and I think they have some 200 tutorials on there. And my biggest complaint is the code is horrible. They're teaching bad practices. At what point do you get these people to take, not necessarily the New Boston, but in general, people that put up bad tutorials? How do we get them to take them down and stop teaching things the old school way?
Well, shame.
It's just frustrating.
That's funny. I didn't even look. You put this on the Trello board, and you said you had so much to say about it. And I looked at the last video thinking that, well, it wasn't the last video. I didn't even bother to go back and look at everything and to actually look at the videos. I looked at the list. I'm like, that looks like a pretty complete list. It looks like they touch on a lot of the top topics that you'd want to touch on to teach somebody PHP, but I didn't actually watch the video.
I just looked at a couple of the code snippets, and anybody that uses the @ symbol to suppress information drives me nuts. It's over in the very last video. The final piece.
I didn't see that.
That's one of those things. I see that all the time with newer developers. They'll make a database connection call and they immediately put an @ symbol in front of it.
Oh God.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm looking at episode 13 on here about comments, and I realized, hey, he's not showing. It's 4 minutes long, and he's not showing how you can use comments to type hint an IDE.
Right, and he's using the closing PHP bracket, which drives me nuts. I don't know why. That's a pet peeve.
But then I realized, oh, he's probably not using comments for IDE helpers because he's not in an IDE.
Yeah.
He's in a text editor.
Yeah. It's just
wow.
Anyway, it was just an annoyance. I'm assuming these are older videos. I really don't know. Where I heard about it, and I can't remember where it was now. It's been a couple weeks. But the person who referenced it said in his day-to-day job as a developer, he uses the site all the time. I'm like, but why? There's so many. There are better resources out there.
Oh wow! Yeah, these videos were uploaded April 21st, 2011. So
I mean,
this.
Where are you even seeing that at?
On the YouTube page.
Oh, okay.
So not only are the practices bad, but it's not even the currently supported version of PHP.
Yeah. All right. That's all I want to do is rant about bad code out there.
That there's still tutorials like this out there that people find and think this is how you code.
Yeah, I'm sure I still got plenty of it out there, but just something to think about when you're putting tutorials up. Know when to take them down. Don't just leave them up for posterity.
Give me 1 second, guys.
Yep.
Hey Alexa, do I look fat today?
Yes, Thomas, you look a little overweight. You look like you had a big dinner.
Oh, I did. It was wonderful. But I can't believe this. I can't believe what Amazon is doing now.
I can't believe that there's going to be enough of a market for this. But go ahead. Let's talk about our article.
It's called the Echo Look. It's Amazon's new sort of home appliance style device. It's a camera that's connected to the web, and it's always watching and listening, and it judges your outfits.
It's not always watching. You ask it to watch, but yes, it's weird. It's
super weird.
I mean, the only benefit I saw is the ability to see what your back looks like. That's the only thing, like, I don't know, a $10 mirror couldn't do, but oh man, that's strange.
$10 mirror could do that. All you need is 2 mirrors.
We saw a relationship in season 2 of Mr. Robot that a woman had with her Amazon Echo device.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sort of wondering where this is going to take us now. That it's judging our clothing. That it's not just providing information, it's casting judgment. Like if Adidas sponsored something through Amazon, could they, I mean, would Amazon be open to that kind of branded marketing where they say, hey, you look good, but you could really use an Adidas J14 jacket?
Put it past them. I totally wouldn't put it past them.
See, but then that opens up avenues for the incredibly rich to intentionally make people dress like clowns for their own amusement. Which is exactly what I would do. I would launch.
When
I
I
would launch
saw
a line of neon afro wigs, and I would sell them through the Amazon Look recommendation system.
Well, when I saw this, I was like, okay, that can't be all it's going to do. What it's going to do is she's going to stand there putting outfits on her that she can buy on Amazon, like that outfits that she has. It'll superimpose outfits on her to see and order it. That's where I thought this was going to go. When I realized, no, it's just a mirror.
Yeah.
It's like I was amazed. I couldn't believe that's all it was. But yes, I totally think that's what it's going to do, Thomas. Why else would they put it there? They want to make money off of it, right? I mean, it's going to go that route.
I can't imagine this is going to be successful in any way.
No, because first thing, this is not something your average tech geek is going to want, right? Which is something that that the first couple waves of Echo was, right? It was tech geeks, early adopters going out there and buying it, and then realizing it. Just going to get that sort of adoption with this. I think it's a very niche market that they're going for. And that niche market is not the sort of progressive market where they're going to go out and buy this. I just don't.
Well,
I think it's weird.
Unless you find out, you start walking around and there's all these really good-looking people, and you start thinking, what is it that they have that I don't? And it turns out that they're all being dressed by their computer.
I got like six T-shirts, man. I'll tell you.
And you say that the camera's not always watching, but that camera's always going to be watching.
Oh yeah, no, it will always.
It's funny if you
change.
Watch the video, if the camera pause it and they open up a door to the camera. I thought that was weird.
Yeah, but they're like, you might want to do this. You might want to put a door in front of this thing.
Yeah. That or like, one of these days when you open your closet, we're going to be in there. You don't know when it'll happen. Just, oh, that's interesting. I didn't invite this spy device in my house. Unlike all the other ones that I've invited in on purpose.
Let's say I'm just looking around between my iPad and my computer. I've got about 3 or 4 cameras in this office, so this isn't even my office. So another camera on your Echo, I don't. That doesn't concern me any more than the multiple cameras I already have laying around. My phone, my computer, my iPad, it's cameras everywhere. I always felt that if the U.S. government really wanted to spy on us with video technology, that they would just make it free or very cheap for consumers to purchase, and we'd spy on ourselves.
Yeah, they call it Facebook.
We're doing that now with the cameras. They didn't make it cheap. We're spending
$1,000 on phones.
Paying price for it. Yeah, exactly. Ouch. Okay, so
what?
I had to buy a new phone this week.
I honestly, that comment had nothing to do with you buying a phone.
A series of unfortunate events this week, and one of the weirdest things that happened is I reached for my cell phone when it was ringing, and I'm out here in the desert. It's dry. There's a lot of static electricity. I shocked the hell out of my phone. I couldn't get it to turn off, and I couldn't get to turn on. I couldn't get the screen to come on. Like the little buttons were lit up, but the screen was dead. And no matter what I did, it was driving me nuts because all I wanted to do was take the best battery out. So I decided to go to AT&T store here because it was the closest thing. Like Best Buy was the closest Best Buy to where I'm at is a mile away in either direction. I mean, an hour away in either direction. So I go to AT&T store. I'm like, hey, can you run diagnostics on this? And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. We'll see what's wrong with it. And they come back out like 15 minutes later, like, your phone is dead, like dead. Like we can't get it to charge, we can't get any readings on it. Hard to believe because you would think as a cell phone, it should be able to withstand a certain amount of shock for a person, right? I mean, I'm mutant power shock, anything like that. It didn't blow. I would think my cell phone would be fine, but they were like, there's nothing we can do. It's they're dead. We can't run any diagnostics on them. I'm like, all right, well, I can't be out here without a cell phone. I'm going to get another cell phone, and I replaced my cell phone. But I did let the battery drain for a couple of days, and then I did charge it back up today, and my old phone did come back.
Oh, really?
It's still alive.
To be fair, you went to a phone store to ask them if you need a new phone, and they said yes.
No, I didn't ask for a new phone. I asked them to see what's wrong with my old phone, but they couldn't. So yeah, it did come back, John. I thought I would act up to life, but yeah. All right, I went off topic again. I apologize. We're running out of time here, so we need to start rolling through some things.
All right, you know what? We'll just jump right into the doom and gloom segment because boy, it's chock loaded today.
Okay, I feel like we've been there all day, anyways. Let's do it.
It gets so much better and so much worse. I like the doom and gloom segment. I think it's funny how god awful things have gotten. So, have you guys heard that there's a problem with red light cameras that the people who are installing them are shorting the yellow lights to get more tickets?
So where we lived in Mira Mesa here outside of San Diego when they installed the red light, and that was immediately obvious that they had shortened the yellow light time. Not only that, but the only time I had ever gotten into an accident on my motorcycle was somebody slamming on the brakes because changed from green to yellow, and that person had already gotten snagged by the cameras for running a red light on a short yellow in downtown San Diego. So he slams on his brakes in front of me. I end up dropping my bike and running into the back of him. I fucking hate those goddamn cameras. I think I think they should be illegal to know because it's commercializing crime. It's paying private companies. It's incentivizing them to ticket people, and it's not helping safety. It's not. It makes me.
It's a money-making machine.
It makes me so mad on so many levels. I rage out against it. I'm sorry, Thomas. Talk about your story.
Well, you're not the only upset person. A man named Mats Jarlstrom, his wife got a ticket for a red light camera, and he had that same conclusion that the yellow was much shorter than it used to be. So he started investigating this and found out that it was clearly true on all of the cameras he could find in his home of Oregon, and started presenting his information to anyone who would listen to try and get the cameras either outlawed or to get the yellows, put back at their previous state. But the people who are involved with the cameras, the government, the guys who make the money off of it, decided that what he was doing was practicing engineering without a license. So they fined him.
Get fined for it.
I mean, they fined him $500. I mean, it was no small bill.
Yeah, they fined him. They fined him $500 for practicing engineering without a license, and told him that he could no longer speak to people about the information that he had gathered until he acquired a state engineering license.
And the information he acquired was using a stopwatch.
Right. And this
you have to be licensed for that.
This is bureaucratic mastery because when it comes to stuff like infrastructure, Department of Transportation, those things, they take engineering very, very seriously, of course. because if a bridge falls and kills 1,000 people, you're in big trouble.
It's a little
But
different.
they're getting bridge construction confused with personal investigations.
Observation. I mean, it's
Yeah.
observation, right? Nobody implemented anything based on his findings. Nobody built a bridge based on what he told him. He was just giving observations. Yeah,
Right.
This is ridiculous. Somebody needs to start paying people for practicing web development without a license, because this is insane.
I think people should be fined for practicing politics without a license.
I think people should be fined for having babies without a license. How's that?
I'm on board with that
All
one.
right.
So yeah, I thought that would be an excellent opener for our doom and gloom, because that was one of the funnier ones that I could find this week, except for the other funny one, which is, you know, those chip cards that I'm so interested in right now.
I do. I've heard you had an issue with one. Yeah,
You know what they look like, right?
I do.
The,
Yeah.
the little
If you
gold
ever-
chip, yeah.
Yeah, if you ever need a picture of one, just look at the Senate employee ID cards. Because instead of having security chips on them, somebody discovered that the Senate ID cards had a picture of a security chip on them.
You don't need no smart chip.
I read this the whole time. I'm thinking in my head, probably what it would be so funny if what had happened was the designer of the card designed the layout, designed the image, designed the logo, and then put a picture of where the chip would go. Like, here's where the chip would go.
I'm sure that's what did happen. Yeah.
Yeah, they gave them oh, okay, this is what the card looks like. Slap, and just kept the picture of the chip on there.
See, now here's the thing though, is that if the guy who designed these cards came on the podcast and said, "Yeah, I totally did that. Isn't it hilarious?" I'd be 100% on his side. I'd be like, "Oh, you did that on purpose?" He's like, "Yeah, I thought it would be really funny to have all these people discussing net neutrality have pictures of security chips on their IDs."
Well, that was really what was the interesting part of the article is, it was a letter, and it was talking about the fact that, hey, we're not using any two-factor. The Senate isn't using any two-factor authentication. We need this solution. And of course, he pointed out is, hey, we have this picture of a chip on our card. Why don't we put a real chip there and use that? I mean, that was kind of funny, but it's more terrifying that that at the higher levels of government, they're still using some of the most basic security elements out there.
Yeah, there's plenty of senators and congressmen who still don't know how to use email, which I find mind-blowing. Oh, this next one. Boy. It's from The Guardian, so take it with a grain of salt. But have you guys heard about Unroll.me?
Only through this article.
Yeah.
They were a nice little service that would help unsubscribe you from spammers, basically. But it turns out that when you unsubscribed from, let's say, Uber, they would take down your email address, and then they would sell all of the email addresses for all the Uber unsubscribers to Uber.
So
And
they were selling inbox data, huh?
yeah, they were selling inbox data. You could give this app access to your inbox through Gmail, and it said, we're not doing anything nefarious, we promise. But as it turns out, yeah, they were. It was bad.
Well, weren't they also indexing your emails as well?
It's not clear exactly what they're doing, but I can tell you that the CEO of Unroll.me, Jojo Hedaya, was heartbroken that the customers found out about this. which, to be fair, I mean, if he knew he was doing something negative and everyone found out, I'd be kind of heartbroken too.
He said he felt bad to see that some of our users were upset to learn how we monetize our free service.
That's a very, I mean, that's a very important statement. You know, we know in the industry, if you're not paying for a service, then you're part of that service, and
Right.
it's a known fact. These companies have to make money. So if you're not paying for a product, then you are the product, and somebody else is paying for your information. So it's a profound statement he made, but yeah, it's
It's not wrong. It's not untrue. I mean, yeah, I'm surprised constantly that teenagers are unaware of how free services exist. There are kids out there that use Facebook all day, every day, and firmly believe that it's a computer sitting in a rack somewhere, and that there's Mark Zuckerberg runs that computer.
Yeah.
No, they make
People
millions of dollars off you.
Yeah, people think free is free, and it's just not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fortunately, this made a big enough splash that people are skipping the service altogether now. But the audacity of some executives does amaze me. Security notice. Do you guys get the HipChat security notice?
I saw that and I thought it was hilarious.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
HipChat was hit where somebody got in and got not all, but they had access to usernames and hash passwords. And why I thought it was hilarious is I used the service in the past. They took the time to reset passwords and said, please come back and change your password. And I was like, I don't use your service anymore, so I don't need to. But they did make sure to clarify it as bcrypt hashed and should be mostly secure, but people still need to change their passwords.
But it was an interesting action because it did immediately invalidate the sale of those passwords, because every user on the HipChat platform got their password reset.
It doesn't necessarily invalidate that, though.
Well, it kills the value.
Well, it may reduce the value, but you still have people who use the same password, same email, same password across multiple platforms. So,
true.
I don't think. It's just it's helping complete the attacks. I mean, it still has value and it can still be used, but yeah, I might have reduced it a little bit.
It's nice that people can't get access to your HipChat account anymore, but if you are, I want to say stupid because that's strong. If you're an idiot and still use the same password that you use on other services, you need to stop.
That's a little strong. You're an idiot. that seems less harsh. Yeah, I mean, actually, if they were stealing passwords, username and passwords from HipChat, I mean, really, what's that going to net then? You're gonna see some conversation between two people. No, they want to get into other services that have accounts associated to it. So,
well, HipChat is a business platform, so
you're an idiot. No, it's okay. I just called you an idiot, Thomas. I didn't call you stupid.
You must have cut out there. I didn't catch it.
And for the record, I did that on purpose.
You guys want to do one more?
Not really.
One more. Do you guys have a rubber duck?
I think I am Eric's rubber duck.
You're the one, rubber ducky. It's so fun.
Eric's getting tired.
Yes, John is my rubber ducky. I like to pet him.
He squeezes me a lot. It's awkward when we're in the bathtub together and I get squeezed.
I've known about rubber duck debugging for a long time, and it occurred to me after reading an article that I don't actually have a specific rubber duck. I don't have an object that I speak to. I have coworkers who I bug, but that completely misses the point of rubber duck debugging, which is don't bug your coworkers. So I now have myself a nice little Fallout rubber duck, and this is the man that gets all my complaints about CSS.
And then your wife is sitting in the room next to you, like, "Why are you talking to yourself?"
Oh
Do you
no,
guys
she
wanna-
talks.
Do you guys want to explain what rubber ducking is to people who might be listening and don't know?
Sure. It's when you've got a problem that you're having trouble figuring out. You pick an inanimate object like a rubber duck, and you explain the problem from step one to the object as if you were trying to get the object's ideas about what's wrong and what to do. And that very often will lead to the insight on what is actually the problem.
Right, and it's actually very effective because if you do it correctly, and the whole idea is to disassociate yourself from the problem because you're too close to the problem again. Like you're trying to explain it to somebody. Because when you take that step back and start working back into the problem, a lot of times the issue becomes obvious and you see it. And I know John has many times been on the other end of the line just listening to me find the solution. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, I got it. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, I think the best example I've seen is if you're sitting there working on something and you call up somebody and say, hey, so I need you to log in and check this out. And they go to log in and can't log in. And you go, oh, yeah, I changed that thing about logging in, but I never logged out and logged back in. Never mind, I got it now.
Yeah. All right. Well, are we calling that a show? Are we wrapping it up at that point? I mean, Thomas, you've kind of you seem like you're in charge now, so I didn't want to step on your toes.
No, I think that covers it for this week.
You think that's it?
Hopefully, I'll have an update from Chase for everyone next week.
Oh,
Look forward to hearing how that went.
so I've got some news for you guys, and John knows this already. Thomas, I meant to say something to you before the show. I'll let you know now. And I don't even know if we're actually allowed to talk about this, but I don't know see where I go. Are you going to PHP Tech? And if not, can you try to go to PHP Tech? I think it would be very beneficial for you to be at PHP Tech.
I am not currently going to PHP Tech, but I could give it a try.
So John and I got an interesting email this past week from the organizers of PHP Tech asking if we would be interested in getting together with another podcaster who's going to be at PHP Tech and doing a PHP Tech podcast. What?
Really?
What?
Just doing a live episode.
There will be nudity involved, I hear. At least that was part of my contract. I don't know.
Excellent.
But it'll be a short show. But, So, we haven't hung out in a while, Thomas. You need to try to get to PHP Tech and give us an opportunity to hang out with each other.
I do. I need to make some effort to get out of the house. Going a touch stir crazy here in snowy Colorado.
So yeah, we'll again. I don't know if we're supposed to give the details, but who's stopping me at this point? Sammy K from PHP Roundtable is also on board to do this podcast, so it should be fun. I'm really super excited about it.
Yeah, I'll have to harass my boss and see if I can get PHP Tech tickets.
Yeah. So that's
What
fun.
is-
Anybody listening, and we should have PHP Ugly stickers to give away at PHP, and I'm hoping I got enough stickers. But yeah, we'll have some stickers to give away. I think we have a couple of Rabbit fans out there who we promised stickers to as soon as we had them. So we need to track them back down and get some envelopes and mail those out. But
Did you just say we had
Ugly
rabbit?
Rabbit, like
little fuzzy rabbits?
no, like excited, like yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like dogs when you have to shoot them.
I don't speak English very well. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
All right, that's it. I'm not talking anymore. That's it. We're done. Episode 59 of PHPX. I'm Eric. Keep it
I'm
ugly.
John.
Good job, guys.
I'm Tom Rideout.
Keep it ugly.
Well, you get when your stream gets delayed, it compresses it all into 1 second. So you go silent for a minute, and then you go blah 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 blah.
I'm stopping the recording on Zencaster. I'm stopping my local recording.
Woo!
But Thomas, I try to mute myself as much as possible. I'm gonna turn my camera back on so you guys can see me again.
You gotta
I
kill
try
the
to
live
mute
feed too.
Yeah. This is whoever wants to hang out. Yeah, I'll kill it. All right, sorry. Bye, guys.